Greetings again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs, and in this edition, we continue our special series, My OSI Journey, which showcases the diversity and inclusion of our command-wide members. And today I'm very pleased to be joined by Mr. Terry Phillips, Executive Director, Office of Special Projects, and United States Air Force and Space Force Special Access Program Security Director. Mr. Phillips, welcome to the program. It's so good to be talking with you again, sir.
Thank you, Wayne. I've enjoyed your podcast, and I'm honored to be able to join you today. Before we get started, I'd like to say thanks for doing this and putting so much energy and professionalism in it so that you share the voice of many to everyone. So that's incredible. Thank you for doing this.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Mr. Phillips, and I know that General Bullard, the commander, whose view of wanting a podcast out there, had that kind of vector in mind when we began this initiative. So, more than 24 podcasts later, here we are, and we welcome you aboard. So I would like to begin, sir, with letting our listenership know that we are actually recording this podcast the day before you are to retire from the Office of Special Investigations. And on that note, I have to ask you, sir, is this particular period in your life a little bit bittersweet as you progress in your next chapter in your life?
You know, Wayne, I've had several days to think about this, and I was on the phone with General Bullard just a little while ago, and I really feel a sense of contentment and happiness for a couple of reasons. One is I enjoyed my career and the opportunities that I had to work with OSI and the Air Force, and so I'm very happy when I look back on the time that we had. The second reason I have joy is that I see all the people that we've brought on board, and I know that we've brought some incredible people into OSI, and I'm excited for what they're going to do. And so it's my time to step away and move to the stands and watch all the great people that we brought on board and we trained and prepared them go out and be successful. So there's really no bittersweet for me. It's really a very great sense of contentment and happiness for our family and for the rest of OSI.
Well, that's certainly a very positive outlook, and you've certainly made your mark on the Office of Special Investigations. And my next question, let's kind of turn back the clock a little bit, if we can, shall we? As far as you beginning to become interested in law enforcement and subsequently OSI, you've had a very eclectic career within the organization, beginning in 1997 when you graduated from the Special Investigations Academy at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. But how did you become interested at the get-go in the field of law enforcement and again in OSI?
Well, it started way before 1997. When I entered the Air Force in 1992, there was a reduction in forces, and there weren't many job opportunities for new second lieutenants to come in. And so I became a section commander. And not a lot of people understand or know what a section commander is, but basically they're the individual who oversees issues, punishments, activities for a squadron. Uh-huh. And I was assigned to the 93rd Air Refueling Squadron in California. We had a combined 537 people in that unit, and it was maintainers and pilots. So it was all combined together. And I met my first OSI agents when they ran investigations and provided reports of investigations to me and the commander and our first sergeant, and we had to take action on those reports of investigation. And what was very neat was that those agents were able to come in and describe those cases. And that sparked my interest. Mm-hmm. My next door neighbor, Drew Gober, who is a brand new civilian agent, retired from OSI a few years ago and just recently returned as a civilian agent, was my next door neighbor. Huh. And as neighbors get together and barbecue, he was able to describe a very positive outlook on OSI. And so as the years went by and I was able to look for a career transition, I applied to OSI. And I was able to, he doesn't remember this, but Tim Reese, who is the SAC down in McDill, wrote my letter of recommendation for me and was able to help recruit me and get me into OSI to join. So it was, I was an officer then, I was a captain when I came into OSI. So I was a late bloomer coming into OSI. But what I think was really special was that I had time as a section commander. I had worked in a command post at Ramstein Air Base, and I was able to bring those realistic Air Force skills and knowledge of what the Air Force does in their big mission to OSI. And I think that was something that was valuable to me throughout my career, is to understand from a flying perspective, from a maintenance perspective, from a command post perspective, to be able to apply that to OSI.
I see. Yeah, it certainly sounds like your beginnings within the command networking really helped you out, and knowing people within the organization and getting the real skinny from people who could really tell you what it's really about.
Absolutely. And I'll say this several times, is that this is a people business. We recruit people that can connect and be able to share information and be able to link people to be able to solve hard problems. And it's very special, the networks that we build within the Air Force, within the federal law enforcement, and with our intelligence community, and with our foreign partners. It's very special, the network that we build in OSI, and getting recruited is part of that network.
I see. Now, as you progressed within the command, you were elevated to your present position of Senior Executive Service 1. You were the first one at that rank to make that rank, the first executive director of PJ, as Special Projects is also called within the OSI community, to hold the rank of SES 1. Now, I did a story on you back in around August of 2020 when you were appointed to that position. And now, for the uninformed, SES is a position classification in the civil service of the federal government, equivalent to a general officer or a flag officer rank in the U.S. Armed Forces. Now, you were asked about, at the time, your reaction to the news of being elevated to the SES as the executive director. And the first word out of your mouth, sir, was pride. The one word, pride. And you said you were proud that this appointment elevates all of OSI and recognizes the value of our technology protection mission. And I would assume that since the time you were appointed, that pride has not waned one bit.
Wayne, it's my pride has grown 25-fold. It's absolutely amazing to see the mission that we do in OSI. And for me, getting to be involved with our special projects mission every day it's just very special to be able to see that accomplished in the field at the very edge of our Air Force operations. It's amazing. What's also amazing is the respect and the expectation from our foreign partners, our federal partners, our intelligence community partners, who consider us a valued member of their team to be able to bring effects onto the big concerns that face the Air Force, the threats that face the Air Force. So super proud of being able to serve in this capacity and being able to represent OSI across the Department of Defense as an SES.
So, during your career within the Office of Special Investigations, were there any challenges that you faced once you became a member of the command, and how did you overcome those, or have things been smooth sailing all the way?
I don't think anyone has a smooth path to success. I believe many of us are challenged and fight and work hard. As a young captain, I served at Ramstein as an agent, and that was an incredible place for me to be able to learn our skills and our tradecraft. Ramstein had a large number of crim cases, counterintelligence cases, and fraud cases. So it was good for me to be able to learn all of those areas about OSI. I was asked to be a DETCO, a special agent in charge. I was a captain, and I had little less than 18 months of time as an agent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was hard. I was just learning how to be a credible, good, solid agent. And now I was asked to be put in charge.
Right.
And
Right.
when I showed up at the detachment, I was probably the most junior person there at Pope Air Force Base.
Okay.
And I wasn't received very well about being a very junior agent in charge of other agents. But I got some great advice that just said, plow hard, work hard, be stable, and you will win the day.
I
And
see.
so I put my nose to the grindstone and worked hard and worked as hard as everyone. When there was a case, I went out and conducted surveillance. I provided support. I would be the assistant on interviews. I worked really, really hard and won over my team.
That leads me very well into the next question, sir. Who or what inspired you to do your best in OSI? I've asked that question of many of my interview guests, and they say it was, great leadership, great mentorship that helped you along the way.
Well, I have a couple of answers. One, though, I think it might be more interesting, is when I was at Ramstein as a young agent, I was introduced to Mr. Jude Sunderbrook. And Mr. Sunderbrook was, I think, a first lieutenant at that time.
Right.
And I remember being in Germany. He was at Simbach, and I was at Ramstein. And in our little group of young officer agents, we were talking, and Mr. Sunderbrook and I hit it off really well. Mm-hmm. And then the other, a little bit after that, we had a new individual arrive, GS-13, Mr. Jeff Speck.
Yes.
Mr. Speck was on his second assignment, just arrived from Eglin Air Force Base. And he was assigned at Det 515, which was Ramstein. Mm-hmm. And so I got to know him. Now, Mr. Speck had a couple more years experience more than me and Mr. Sunderbrook, and we all worked together. And I think we inspired each other to work hard and to be able to be successful and help the units be successful and the OSI mission in Europe successful. And so and through my career, Mr. Speck and Mr. Sunderbrook has always been collegial colleagues that we've been able to talk about things that we would want to do and how we saw life and be able to work together. So from a peer level, they have been the greatest friends and also the greatest colleagues to be able to help me during my career.
A little bit of backstory on that. Of course, Mr. Speck is the former executive director of OSI, and Mr. Sunderbrook is the current executive director of OSI. So, like I said, you're absolutely right. Leadership has really been kind of a hallmark during your OSI career, no doubt about that. What was the most gratifying?
If I can add one little thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Seniors, Doug Thomas, General Givens, General Jacobson, Jeff Harker, have all played very important parts in making me want to do better. Mm-hmm. And for example, General Givens, our former OSI commander, he was the exec for General Taylor, who was visiting my detachment at Pope Air Force Base. And on his own, he picked up the phone and called me and said, "Hey, Terry, I understand you're a new DETCO. Would you like me to look at your briefing that you're going to give General Taylor and kind of give you some pointers?"
Wow.
Well, I sent it to him, and within a couple hours, he sent it back with a lot of edits and gave me about a 20-minute pep talk, and I did great. And it was my first meeting General Taylor. But those kind of moments where someone goes out of their way to help you be successful, that's truly special. And,
sure.
and the more that we do that, the more that we take care of each other, our command and our culture will flourish.
Oh, no doubt about that. And of course, for the novice listeners to our podcast, General Taylor was the 13th commander of the Office of Special Investigations. Mr. Phillips, what was the most gratifying part of your job with OSI? Or did you already allude to that? Because it sounds like you mentioned people was a real staple of your career within the organization.
Well, I think the most gratifying thing that I've seen for myself, but also I've seen from others, is to be able to contribute in a way that advances the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And the closest thing that I would say is I remember one time there was an analytical product that was provided to me when I was at UCOM, U.S. European Command.
Right.
And I picked up the phone and I called that analyst back at the icon. I go, that was incredible. I just briefed your information to a four-star general who's the NATO commander and the commander of U.S. European Command.
Yep.
And that analyst was so excited that someone had read their report and actually had used that report to be able to inform a commander. I just got to see in their voice about how excited they were, and when I told their boss. But it makes me know that whenever I'm able to go and bring some information to a commander to help them make a very important decision, that's extremely gratifying.
Oh,
so I've been able to use
doubt.
that is to provide feedback to people over the years of picking up the phone or sending them a little note and saying, hey, I just used this to brief the Secretary of the Air Force. And I believe that inspires people, because that definitely inspires me.
Oh yeah, when people's work is when they have their work validated by higher ups, there's no doubt about it that they really feel it, that they're doing something that's very important for the Air Force and for the nation. If you could do it all over again, if you could put on your hat here as far as looking back again over your career, is there anything you would change about your career with OSI?
Wayne, someone asked me that recently, and I just have such great joy. I look back on every assignment and see how it played a role in the person that I am today.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that I could actually go back and change any one of those assignments. The assignments overseas, the assignments at Pope Air Force Base. In my last 5 years here as the OSI PJ director, I've seen that I've brought something from each of my assignments back into the job. So there's really nothing that I would change, except maybe add a little bit more time at some of those jobs. Like
right.
At Ramstein, I really only got to be an agent there for a little less than 18 months. And I wish I could have ran a few more cases and got to do a little bit more work. I really enjoyed my tour at headquarters. I was on the anti-terrorism specialty team. It was a short 2-year tour.
Uh-huh.
But if I could have done anything, what I'd change is I would have added more time to each one of the assignments.
That's right. Unfortunately, we can't turn back the clock, but it certainly shows that you've in the time that you were allotted there, you certainly made an impression. Let's put on your forecasting hat here for a little bit, if we may. What direction do you envision OSI going into the future?
OSI's mission is extremely relative to our Air Force and our Space Force. What I see is that our agents will be more empowered by artificial intelligence, by machine learning, to be able to give them information to proactively engage threats at a very early time. What Mr. Sunderbrook is doing with the Orion network, I foresee that our agents in the future will be able to have information at their fingertips for them to be able to resolve issues or concerns quickly and be able to give commanders relative information in a very quick time. I see us moving away from long written reports and being able to provide verbal or even video information to commanders to allow them to be able to make decisions quickly to be able to affect the Air Force. So everything is accelerating. What I think that our agents in the future would be able to take advantage of a lot of the quantum computing that we're gaining, and to be able to use that and to advance the Air Force mission by providing commanders information that they can get at their fingertips.
Right. Well, the Air Force has always been considered, a high-tech branch of the military, and I'm sure that, as you just said, things are going to be accelerating with technology in the future. No doubt about that.
Thank you. I agree. Totally agree, Wayne.
Now, the premise of this particular podcast of my OSI Journey is about diversity and inclusion of our command-wide members. How is D&I foundational to the success of OSI from your perspective now that you're about to end your OSI career?
Well, I wish we had thought about this even earlier, but diversity and inclusion is so powerful. And I think we haven't even really uncovered the advantages of having a more diverse group and being inclusive of different voices and different perspectives. I believe diversity and inclusion enhances our innovation. When we can listen to other voices that can allow us to understand different perspectives, we can solve problems faster, but not just faster, in a higher quality manner. I know if you only heard one perspective every day, then you're not going to be able to think of the creative types of solutions that we can have. And in OSI PJ, I see that a lot, is that we're often presented very tough challenges with security, inhibiting the advancement of rapid acquisition. And so we look for solutions to be able to try to change the security paradigm, to be able to allow our industry partners to be able to build something faster at lower cost with higher performance without compromising the system.
I see.
And it's pretty neat when you can include all voices to kind of solve that problem, all grades, all individuals to be able to solve it. So I see diversity and inclusion making us better, allowing us to be more creative and be more innovative. Secondly, and as a kind of a person I'm a math person, a math guy, I think about the value of diversity is that it makes us more productive, increases performance for a couple of reasons. One is, when you have an inclusive program with diverse people, and you demonstrate that you're able to listen and hear the voices of others and perspective of others, to be able to factor that into the calculus of how you solve problems, people start to trust more. They share more.
Right.
And when you have a high trust team and you build high trust relationships with each other, the speed of innovation and productivity is an extreme high value. So to me, as a math guy, I see that ratio of high production, high value by having a high trust team. And lastly, I want to brag a little bit. OSI PJ won the OSI Team Award. A couple of our members won the Diversity and Inclusion Team Award.
Right.
And and what we talked about in PJ during our videos in discussion about diversity and inclusion is just being able to hear someone's voice, to be able to talk to them and ask questions and be able to share experiences with each other. And I'll tell you, there's been some incredible sharing amongst our folks, and we've all grown over this past year. And so, and that creates a very dynamic, accepting work environment that allows us to be happier, to enjoy our workplace better. And all of that together makes us more productive. So personally, I love the creativity and innovation because I love that. But I also love the value that comes out of the value of productivity that comes out of having an inclusive and diverse environment.
Yes, sir. Now, you mentioned your math degree. Let's give a shout out to Auburn University, home of the War Eagles, correct?
Absolutely, War Eagle. And I can't tell you how many times I had to hear "Roll Tide" or "Go Dogs." Wayne, no one can echo that in this room on this podcast. So War Eagle.
Okay, very good. Let's put a little bit of a recruiting hat on you now, sir, for a second. What advice would you give someone who would like to join OSI?
Well, patience. Like we talked about, I wanted to join OSI in 1993, 94, and it took a few years to get there. OSI has so few slots per year that open up. And so I've spoken to people who applied 3 times and they got in on the 3rd time. So the first thing I would say is be patient. The second thing I would say is grow and make yourself highly valuable to the organization. And the way you can do that is through some skills that you already have or that you're interested in. We're talking about language, with cyber skills, being able to understand forensics, those kind of things that make you stand above the others when they look at your resume. I talk to a lot of college kids now, and I recommend the internships. It's great to get that high GPA. Couple that with some great internships that show your interest in law enforcement, but also show that you've been exposed to some of the areas of law enforcement that allow us to know that you have an understanding that you would be a good fit for our organization.
Uh-huh.
And lastly, I would say is network. Like we talked about in the beginning, is find an OSI agent, get on their schedule, make an appointment, and talk to them, and ask them, what can I do? What areas do you see as strong points? Where are some areas that I can add to make me a better candidate? But just keep trying, talk, and then focus on those areas that make you stand out above others that are applying.
Right. Good words to the wise. No doubt about that, sir. Now, at the top of the broadcast, we mentioned that this is the eve of your retirement from OSI. And in your farewell email earlier today to the PJ team, you said something very interesting, and I was hoping you can maybe elaborate on that just a bit. You said, quote, "We define the art of the possible." What exactly did you mean by that, sir?
It was great. I'm glad you picked up on that. Is a security organization is known to say no.
Uh-huh.
And I've been in PJ I joined PJ back in 2001 for a short stint, and it's very, very easy to say no to industry, to government, to a pilot who's flying. The art of the possible is not to say no, but to say you can do it if we add this mitigation.
Uh-huh.
Can we build a classified airplane in a hangar?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is it doesn't have sound attenuation. It doesn't. There's some exposure. There may be some emissions about this.
Right.
How do we protect all the entry points? Well, so it's easy to just say no. You can't build it in a hangar. Well, where are you going to build? Where are you going to build an airplane?
Sure.
So you have to say yes. Is you can do that, but we need to add some blinds on the windows. We need to add some insulation for sound attenuation. That is the art of the possible. Mm-hmm. Now, and then it becomes a discussion. So the art of the possible is a discussion that tells you how to get to yes. And in PJ, we're known for that. We're the security organization that is known for doing that. We understand the risk, we understand the threats, and we understand what the Air Force has for funding and availability and time to be able to develop a platform. And then we enter a risk discussion with the program executive officer or the program manager on how to get to yes. And so that is the art of the possible.
Very well put. Before we wrap it up, Mr. Phillips, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to say to everyone, this is an incredible organization. And the value of our organization is really our people and our culture. And continue to grow that culture, continue to share with others things that you've learned. That is the power of OSI and what we do. And the more that we do that, the more our mission will be successful. So keep growing, maintain the culture that we have, and keep doing great things for our nation.
Well said, Mr. Phillips. Our guest has been Mr. Terry Phillips, Executive Director, Office of Special Projects, and United States Air Force and Space Force Special Access Program Security Director. Mr. Phillips, thanks so much again for taking the time to be with us. I really enjoyed our discussion today.
Thanks, Wayne. Have a great 2022. Happy New Year, and I wish you the greatest success next year.
And the same to you and your post-OSI career as well. And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, my OSI Journey, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.